What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back, and from the New York Post, Gen Z millennials think women's rights have gone too far, according to new survey. So who is it? Is it Gen X? Is it the boomers? Is it quite literal babies who are forcing this agenda upon people who clearly do not want it? We saw several stories this week out of California, one where a based, as the kids say, diversity, equity, and inclusion officer started to question the narrative at the community college she was working at. So imagine their surprise when the woman they hired to push the agenda pumped the brakes and said, "What is going on here?" And I think she was kind of trying to infiltrate them from the inside out. Go ahead and watch that video. There was another story of some parents who were livid at a mandatory drag show that was forced upon high school kids. So nobody really wants this, but somebody, something, some establishment, some blob is forcing it upon people. And we don't want it anymore. When it starts to happen in California where a literal DEI director says, "What is happening?" and parents in the Bay Area are saying, "Stop forcing our kids to watch these shows," you know you've gone too far. And now this survey, of course, you have to take all these surveys with a grain of salt, but they're saying nobody wants this. It's gone too far. And they're talking about women's rights, but it wasn't that long ago. These very same people couldn't even tell you what a woman is because, like with everything, they only want the control. And when their narratives, when their talking points, and I always say this, when they are followed to their logical conclusion, they will undoubtedly conflict with another one of their talking points, like clockwork every single time. They say, a surprising number of people in younger generations believe that women's rights have gone too far, with a new survey revealing gender equality progress could be at risk of stalling. So this is the New York Post by way of this news.com.au, because the Post is usually pretty good, right? Nobody's perfect. Nobody ever said that, but they cover everything from, breaking the Hunter Biden laptop story and getting banned off social media to the surgeries of an OnlyFans star and everything in between. But now they've just copy pasted this from news.com.au or whatever, and they are clearly talking in the language of the establishment that is foisting this agenda onto us, right? Women's rights. I mean, we all have the same rights, at least here in America. I don't know what it's like in Australia, but I assume men and women have the same rights. How many times have we debunked the gender pay gap? And these are from the same group of people that will pretend that they don't even know what a woman is, or a man can just magically become a woman if he so thinks it. New research conducted by Ipsos UK and the Global Institute for Women's Leadership at King's College London found that over half of people in younger generations believe the push for equality is now negatively impacting men and that they are being expected to do, quote, too much to support progress. Yeah, and I don't even know how they can speak in this language of men and women because in the same breath, a man can be a woman if he just says it. Doesn't have to prove it, doesn't have to do anything, he just says it. And we saw this clip going viral recently of these girls on a podcast who literally admit that they are scared to say what a woman is, even though they know what it is, because they'll get canceled. We saw another video from Savannah Hernandez of this guy admitting he was too scared to say that he didn't have white privilege, and she got it out of him. So the pendulum is, however slowly, swinging back to, a marginal bit of sanity. The survey collated the responses from more than 22,500 people aged 16 to 74 across 32 countries, including approximately 1,000 people from Australia. And for the record, I do believe Australia, the UK, and Canada are even leading the US in woke nonsense. They're sort of at the front of the crazy train, I believe. According to the results, 52% of Gen Z and 53% of millennials agree that we have gone too far in promoting women's equality, that we are discriminating against men. But you're also discriminating against women when you start letting men into powerlifting and swimming, right? And it doesn't go the opposite way. It's the same thing that we see with the LGBT barbecue agenda with kids, right? If you were to take some of those situations that the activists are always claiming are just, right-wing tropes and they call you all the names in the book. If you were to take those same situations and just make it a heterosexual woman or heterosexual man, it would be deemed incredibly creepy and it would not fly. But because it's gay, it is okay. And that's just what they do, right? Look, I'm a broken record here, but it's all about control. Everybody knows that now. But as long as they keep going, I'm going to keep going. This is compared to 46% of Gen X and 40% of boomers. So I guess it is Gen X and boomers who believe this. And I think they don't really believe it. They just think that the news is real. They just think that everything from the good old days is still the way it was, and it's just not true. I believe they just haven't kept up with how extreme it's actually gotten, right? So they look at like, oh no, they're still in that old, we need to fight for the rights. They're kind of like, they still think Vietnam is happening or something. In fact, many of the questions showed that younger generations were less supportive of efforts to advance gender equality than boomers. Yeah, but that's fake. You're already speaking in their language. Gender equality. What do you want? Right? It's the same thing with racism, right? Oh, Kendrick Perkins thinks that white players are getting MVP because of racism. Meanwhile, there's only been 3 white guys who got MVP, and it's never been considered racist when it's a black guy every single time. It's never been considered racist when the league is 80% black. I mean, it only works one way. The women are never going to say, well, we need more women in coal mining or we need more women in oil drilling. It's only in certain things that they want to do, even though they may not even be good at it, like swimming or powerlifting. For Australia, 51% strongly or somewhat agreed with the above statement compared to 41% who disagreed, with 60% of those who agreed men. When it came to the claim that things have gone far enough in giving women equal rights with men, 55% of Gen Z and 57% of millennials agreed. This is compared to 53% of Gen X and 47% of boomers. And it's because the boomers are still living in the past and they don't realize how far and extreme it's gotten. There were more Australians who disagreed with this comment than agreed, but a higher percentage of men agreed over women. Yeah, I'll bet. The majority of Gen Z, millennial, and Gen X respondents also agreed that men are expected to do too much to support equality, with 55, 57, and 54% respectively. However, less than half of boomers agreed with this statement. For Australia, 42% somewhat or strongly agreed, and 46% somewhat or strongly agreed. When breaking the results down further, it was revealed 50% of Australian men agreed with the statement compared to 36% of women, because they've been brainwashed and they don't know what's going on. And when you question them about it, they're not going to answer, and then they're just going to revert, and the cycle continues. Oh, well, you're only asking me about this because you're a sexist, whatever. It's kind of like Hillary Clinton or Lori Lightfoot. Anytime they lose Stacey Abrams, it's always because woman. It's always because, they're going to just throw the victim card. They'll never, ever in a million years say, you know what? I just wasn't that good at the job. That's never going to happen. They're never going to say, I just didn't work hard enough. I just didn't do it right. I'm going to work on it and get back to it next time. They will never do that. They're always going to point the finger outward, right? They're always going to point the finger. They're never going to point the thumb. The report noted that the results pointed to warnings of a reaction to the movement for greater equality and that progress on gender equality remains at risk of stalling. Yeah, you mean your extreme agenda is going to slow down? That's all that means. Oh, what do you... They don't even ask for any specific thing because they know they already got it. And B, if they set a real goal, then there will be nothing left to complain about if they actually do reach that goal, right? They need to make it just abstract enough to constantly move the goalposts and constantly, it's whack-a-mole out there, and constantly make you jump through hoops, right? They're never going to set a concrete goal because then they might actually have to work towards that goal and stop when it's over. And they just want you to continue to obey, like with every single other thing they do. Compared with pre-Rona, more people think things have gone too far and more people think men are being asked to do too much, the report notes. And this, of course, is hilarious because we are constantly told that men are women and women are men. But when it comes to things like this, they just throw it out the window and revert back to some semblance of reality, right? This goes on and on. It's not really worth reading every single word of it. The point is, people are done. When you tally this with some of the recent articles out of California about the DEI instructor and the parents in California, people are done. They're over it. It needs to stop. The pendulum has to swing back the other way eventually. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.